Chapter 18. Jinn cases. 1. At the end of the Second World War occurred the case, in Mexico City, that a girl of scarcely 5 years old, of name Maria, daughter of very poor parents, on an occasion in which the mother was sick, made appear, before 3 neighbors, a beautiful bunch of red roses, saying that they were to put them to the Virgin, so that her mom alleviates. The fact was very commented, in the surroundings and inside the vicinity where they lived. On another occasion, falling in a true state of ecstasy, babbling certain words that only she knew, she made appear 2 thick golden pure stones, that helped vastly to improve the conditions of life of her parents. After this astonishing event, she gave examples of clairvoyance and prophecies. On certain occasion, a couple went to consult her, because of the illness of the gentleman. She concentrated, closed her eyes, and instants later a puppet of cloth with several pins in the body appeared between her hands. The girl proceeded to take them out and then threw the puppet amid an incantation, in a brazier where she burned sulfur, healing the bewitched man definitively. As the girl grew up, she developed the power of curing by means of magnetic passes, having long lines of sick persons that demanded help and comfort, and which she healed. But when she became 15 years old and developed an interest for the mundane things, she little by little degenerated her habits, until she was converted into an ordinary human being. Could the master tell me what was the cause of this case? This question is certainly very interesting, and it is well worthwhile to answer it. Obviously, that girl was endowed with Jinn powers. Unquestionably she could make contributions, bringing roses, pass them from the astral to the physical world, make come, from the distance, objects like that puppet with pins, etc., etc., etc. It is patent and manifesto the concrete fact that when she became interested in the material things, when she distanced herself from the transcendent spirituality, she lost her powers. It comes to memory in these instants the case of the enigmatic and powerful Count Cagliostro. Old traditions tell us that, upon leaving Cagliostro the prison of the Bastille in Paris, where he was a prisoner due to that case involving the necklace of the Queen that produced so much scandal, he celebrated an extraordinary banquet. The whole of France was moved when it knew the episode of this banquet. It was clear for the guests that the Count Cagliostro possessed formidable powers. The table of the banquet dazzled with the gold, the silver, and the splendor of the guests. However, some positions were empty, but the dishes were served there also. Suddenly, something extraordinary happened. The empty positions were occupied by characters that had died some time ago, and the guests all were filled with fright, but seeing the serenity of the Count Cagliostro, they controlled themselves in order to eat and drink in the face of the spectre that smiled in the banquet. This fact was commented in all of Paris. It has been completely demonstrated that Cagliostro possessed extraordinary Jinn powers, because he could take the deceased out of their world, the astral, in order to make them come to the physical world, and this is clearly astonishing. It is also said that on another occasion, the Count visited a poor family with the purpose of having dinner with them. Those people were a little embarrassed, because they didn't possess any beautiful china, cutlery, or glasses to entertain such a rich individual in decorous form. Cagliostro, understanding all this, in the presence of the hosts took out from the astral world a very valuable pure golden dinner service, beautiful glasses and magnificent cutlery, and then requested that the banquet be served. All the assistants ate and drank astonished using so rich dinner service. Finished the banquet, Cagliostro gave the service to those people, with the purpose that they improve their economic situation. Here in Mexico, during the time of the colony, an unusual Jinn event happened. It occurred the case that a Philippine soldier appeared dressed in the uniform of the army of his country, in the middle of the Zocalo in Mexico, DF. The man was stopped immediately, and when interrogated he could only say, astonished, that he ignored how he had left his country, how he had been transferred instantly to this Mexico City, and he gave data on events that had happened in his country, the day previous to his capture. Investigations that were undertaken confirmed exactly all the data that the soldier had given. At that time airplanes didn't exist, neither ships that could transport any passenger from Philippines to Mexico in few hours. This, notably, was more than enough reason for the Catholic Inquisition inevitably to intervene. The tradition says that that unfortunate man was judged. We don't still know if he was burned in a fire or only imprisoned, or perhaps tortured. Another extraordinary case happened to me. After having put my physical body in Jinn state, in accordance with the methods and procedures that I have taught all of you, suspended in the atmosphere of the world, I flew above some regions of South America. Suddenly, going by above a country property, I felt attracted by a very special magnetic force toward the house of that property. Upon putting foot on the floor, I could verify the concrete fact that certain neighbors, workers of that property, prayed hotly, conjuring me. Those naive creatures believed that I could possibly be a sorcerer. It is obvious that they wanted to eliminate and destroy me. Already on Earth, I saw them advancing on my insignificant person, seizing machetes, looking at me with a terrible anger. I saw a room, separated, and I entered it, hiding under a table. Then, taking some steps back, I collided with a wall. In those instants, they succeeded in hitting me with a stick, hurting me in an arm, but I made a great effort and put my body inside the fourth dimension. Then I crossed that wall, that no longer was for me an obstacle, and floating in the atmosphere I returned home again. For several days my arm was inflamed, but eventually it healed definitively. 2. Could you tell us, Master, how is it possible that floating inside the fourth dimension, those country dwellers could see you, and how did you fall in the third dimension? My friends, I want you to know that the atmosphere is not in the same conditions at all times. There are special cosmic instants, determined by the radiation of the planets, during which Jinn things and objects happen to be made visible and tangible, before the people of the physical three-dimensional world. That was my case, and then it is obvious that I was seen by those country dwellers. Since they possess an extraordinary faith in all their rites and prayers, they easily could make me descend to that place. Understood? P. How did you manage to return again to the fourth dimension and escape from those country dwellers? My friends, I want you to know that in those instants, my physical body was totally saturated with the radiation of the astral world. Obviously, I only had to make a great effort of will to re-enter the fourth dimension. Any way you like it, this case was so serious, I had to make this effort, and I made it with magnificent results, that is all. At these moments it arises in my memory, the remembrance of the mulata of Córdoba, in Veracruz. This was an extraordinary woman of the state of Veracruz, Mexico. The Inquisition prosecuted her claiming she was a witch and a sorcerer. She remained serene and impassive in the face of these accusers and slanderers. Locked inside a cruel prison, and in the dawn of the day fixed for her execution, the gendarmes entered the prison. They were amazed, astonished, upon seeing she was very cheerful and dressed as if for a party. Incredible! You should be dressed for mourning, preparing for death, because you are supposed to know that you are to go in the fire, where you will be burned alive with green firewood and slow fire, without the spill of blood. The mulata responded, calmly, there is still time. Gentlemen, calm down a little. Above all, I want that you see how I know how to paint a wall. Then, taking a piece of chalk with her right hand, she painted before them, on the wall, a ship with its sails, ties, etc., etc., etc. Addressing then her guardians, she interrogated them, saying, "How do you like this drawing?" They responded, "As a drawing it is very good, only that ship lacks the company." "This is not problem," answered the mulata, "I am going to paint it right now. Observe, see." When they directed their gaze again toward the ship, they could see then the mulata, there, inside that drawing, saying happily of them, "Goodbye, goodbye." And when amazed and confused, they looked at the place that she had occupied inside the prison, frightened, they saw that that woman had disappeared. So it was that the mulata of Córdoba made fun of the Inquisition, my dear friends. There is not doubt that something similar had to have happened to Count Cagliostro, because all the data that have been given of his death in a prison of the Inquisition are obviously contradictory. We, Gnostics, know that Count Cagliostro still lives with the same physical body that he had in the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries, etc., etc., etc. On behalf of the truth, I have to say that I am a personal friend of Count Cagliostro and that I know him very well.